I'm Emma Ashford. I'm a research fellow at the Cato Institute, a think tank in Washington, D.C. So my general research focuses on the links between oil and conflict. So I do a lot of work on Russian foreign policy, Saudi Arabian foreign policy, and the implications that has for the US. Well, oil has been less valuable over the last couple of years, but the fact is that oil-rich states still derive a huge amount of monetary value, a huge amount of influence in the international system from having these natural resources and from being big oil producers. The fact that they tend to engage in more conflicts than other states is therefore a real concern for policymakers. And so I look at what it is about the foreign policy of those states, the way they make foreign policy that makes them so aggressive. My paper here at the conference looks at the ways in which small states can influence their bigger allies to join them in civil war interventions. So I look at the ways in which Britain and France influenced the US in its decision to get involved in the Libyan conflict. I look at the way that states like Saudi Arabia and Turkey and Qatar have tried to encourage the US to get more involved in Syria. And so my paper basically looks at how alliance ties help to shape those intervention decisions. So the paper that I'm presenting here at the conference I think is interesting because we often tend to think of intervention as something that big states, particularly the United States, does and then it drags all its allies with it into conflict. What I found instead in my research is that actually little states can do a lot to involve big states in conflicts. So I look at the Libyan conflict and I look at the influence France and Britain had in shaping the US decision to actually intervene in that conflict. And it turns out they had a lot of influence. The US probably would not have intervened in Libya without that influence. So this is something that's important for policymakers to consider as they try to decide whether to get involved in future interventions.